Greetings. I'm your host, Glen Alex, and this is the Glen Alex Show, the 2023 Positive Change Podcast Award winner. Each episode of the Glen Alex Show focuses on a different aspect of health because you are whole and all of you matter. And I am on a mission to help you be joyful, connected, confident, and complete. The life experience I call wealth, WELLTH, which is health plus other riches. Please keep in mind that if you are wealthy or even in pursuit of wealth, then that will have a major impact on the health of humanity. So please join us on this journey to make the world safer, more loving, and more accepting of everyone. And then stay tuned for this episode that is near and dear to my heart on the hope for humanity.
Welcome to the Glen Alex Show, where your health matters, set your mind, let it flow. Joyful, connected, confident, complete. Let Glen Alex help you back on your feet. The Glen Alex Show.
How did I get here to this place, to working on health and for my hope for humanity? Well, growing up, I didn't understand pain and suffering in life. I struggled to make sense of poverty, brutality, and how humans mistreat each other on every level. Then I exposed myself to more positive and healthier aspects of humanity, and my worldview shifted. I went from why to how can I help? And so that leads me here. I will confess that I am very, very concerned about what is happening in the United States and the world today. And I am experiencing some existential dread. I fear what is to come. And so I thought it would be helpful as I navigate through my fears and assist my clients and loved ones in navigating through theirs. I thought it would be helpful to share this episode with you. And I've compiled clips from guests who are personally and professionally working to uplift humanity. These guests have appeared on the Glen Alex Show throughout. The Glen Alex Show was established in 2018. So these guests come from throughout that time. So please, I hope you enjoy it.
With all that we've covered today and with all that's going on in the world, where do we go from here?
Every human being on the planet has biases. And so we have to acknowledge that first. That's the first step. And then understand that, some of the ways that we're thinking may not be so true. Now's the time for self-reflection and really figuring out who we are and what do we want going forward, and then working to make that happen. And the self-reflection, sometimes you just have to let some things go. And it could be in your thinking, because we know that, the way that you think, well, first of all, what you're exposed to and the way that you think, that determines your actions and your behaviors. And it just keeps on going and becomes your destiny, or, and it doesn't have to be that way. So really searching within, and what is it that's going to give you that peace? What are you looking for? What is lacking? And really just identifying that. And then once you do, then you can start working to make the changes that are necessary. And so then when we're talking about biases, that's one of them too. When we're doing that self-reflection, Are the way that we thinking, those biases that we have, are those really true? Or how do you find out if they are or if they aren't? Well, you have to do some work. And so it's some work. And, number one, we as a people, there's so many stereotypes about people. And that's the first thing that people, for some reason, that's how they identify people, or you have to place that name or that identifying factor on people. And so it's really important that that's where we start having problems. And because of those stereotypes, we tend to not reach out to others. We tend to not learn about others. And then when you don't really know, do you really have compassion for another person? No, you don't. Do you have that empathy? Because obviously, we watch the news, we see empathy is lacking in many counts, from the top all the way down in this country.
Yes.
And so, if we all act in love and empathy, and then that means that we're putting ourselves in that person's shoes. How would you feel if such and such and such was happening? What does that mean to you? And if you don't like it, you can't accept it, why would you think somebody else would? And then that's where we have that shift.
If you could narrow herbal medicine, herbal remedies, herbal supplements down to one nugget, what is the one takeaway you want the audience to have?
Oh, because there's so much, right?
There's so much.
Well, I would say that we are designed so perfectly, and we've complicated the human system. And health is simple. Health is simple. When you give your body the right tools, it knows how to be well. It's that easy.
Wow. That is a very powerful statement.
Yeah.
Can you
I've
repeat
seen it
that?
over and over. Yeah, when we are designed for perfect wellness. We are designed in the image of God. We are a piece of God. I believe that to the depths of my soul.
Okay.
When we give our body the right tools, it knows how to be vibrantly healthy and well. It's extremely simple.
Okay. I love that. I love that a lot. It also sounds to me as if you're saying embody gratitude.
Yes,
Okay. Rather than just
absolutely.
put it on like a coat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
To embody gratitude, and I love that word, to show up in a state of gratitude might mean something different to different people, right? And again, there might be different expressions of that. I think universally, whatever that expression means to someone, to show up in a state of gratitude is one of the most powerful things we can do, not just for ourselves, but for the people around us. It's positively contagious. It's positively contagious in the best way possible, right? It's something we would like to spread at rapid rates if humanly possible.
Yeah, that's a great thing to infect other people with.
Yes, yes, yes. And it might be a little much to ask everybody all the time to have contagious joy or contagious happiness. I think
Yes.
those are maybe unrealistic, unpragmatic, and not necessary. But a state of gratitude, there's always something that
Yeah.
you can find, right? To be in a state of gratitude around.
Yes, yes, I completely agree with you. Now, in the time we have left, can you tell us what you're grateful for? Just give us a couple of things.
Hmm. Oh my gosh, I wouldn't even know where to start. The list is so long. And one of the reasons I say that is because the aperture is so wide,
Mm-hmm.
right? The aperture is so wide. And so I'm deeply grateful for the health of the people I know. I'm deeply grateful for, I'm going to get teary. I'm deeply grateful for the people that I don't know who are fighting so hard in this country right now to make lives better for other people. I don't even know about them, and they're out there doing that. And
Yes.
I am so deeply grateful that people care about other people and they care about other people's lives and families and well-being. And the way that I can pay that forward is not by finding those people individually and writing them postcards or sending them flowers or emailing them and telling them how much they're doing. They know they don't need me to co-sign on that. What they need me to do is show up in gratitude and also be on the side of justice and also be on the side of care and concern and human kindness and compassion. So that is a way in which I want to show up in gratitude more so than articulate gratitude
Okay.
to people. I can best live in gratitude and live in a state of gratitude by continuing to act in a gracious way. Yes, as opposed to reaching out and specifically thanking people. I can continue their work in my own way by showing up in ways that are reflective of loving kindness and compassion and tolerance. That's how I can live in gratitude.
Oh my goodness. You are preaching to the choir because one of my pet peeves as a therapist and as a human being is that somebody's always waiting. Too many of us are waiting for somebody else to fix it and to do it.
Yes.
And I believe individually, if we all did our own part, then
Yes.
the collective would be so much healthier.
Amen.
Like you end up receiving the value that you offer back to you. So please, if you're in a position, and I know it's really hard to say because you could be in a very, very horrible situation, but just try your best to go easy on yourself, first of all. Be
Yes.
kind to yourself, second of all, because you're in a bit of a dire straits in some respects. But just be in a position where you know you've got God's love inside of you, you've got light inside of you, you've got empathy inside of you. How do you bring those beautiful traits out despite the situation that you find yourself in, and add value to yourself and add value to just one other person? Just consider one person that you could add value to. And all of a sudden, it ends up being reciprocal. It ends up being, you end up being in a situation where life helps you out. And I've had this happen to me multiple times. I've been in a situation where I don't know what to do next. And the next thing that I did and the research that I've done is to how do you add value to somebody else's life, Barry? It's almost like life ends up reciprocating that back to you, and all of a sudden, a person, a situation, something happens to you that enables you to lift as well. So it's all about helping yourself to be able, and then helping others, and then what comes back from that is you lifting as much as possible. But you got to answer Einstein's question at the same time,
Okay.
because you got to believe that the world's a friendly place. You got to get to
Okay.
that side. And if you can just get there, and if you can just buy that there are good acts happening every day that you are not privy to. We're not privy to babies that are surviving cancer. We're not privy to kidney transplants. We're not privy to marriages getting back together. We're not privy to those things, but they're happening. So
Yes.
just acknowledge that those things are also going on right now. There are refugees being taken in. There's this horrible situation in Florida right now. Like there are good people out there doing good things with very little. So just try your best, if you can, to add value to somebody else's life, and I promise you it'll come back to yourself as well.
And that reminds me of the saying, what goes around comes around.
It's a saying for a reason, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it also
Yeah.
brings to mind that adding value to someone else's life can open the door to gratitude. And when you open the door to gratitude, that is
Mm,
a deep connection to who you truly are,
mm,
your personal
mm,
truth, and those kinds of
mm.
things. So gratitude is a huge key.
Absolutely. It's huge right now in the world right now. There's a lot of speakers and authors and presenters that are talking about gratitude. Just to give you an idea how powerful gratitude is, right? I've done some research for this new book of mine coming out in November the 18th. It's called Move the Mountain. So if you're
Okay.
on Amazon, grab yourself a copy. And I've looked at the 4 major religions in the world, Glenn. So I've looked at Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, and Hinduism. And those 4 religions account for 83% of the planet. It's like 83% of the human population on the planet are those 4 religions. And I've gone into the literature of all those religions to understand the religion deeper. And do you know what's in all of those religions? Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Gratitude ends up being a core founding pillar in all those 4 religions. So, for example, okay, if you wanted to get 4 people, let's say you had an Islamic cleric, you had a Christian priest, you had a Buddhist monk, and you had a Hindu holy man, and they're all sitting around a table, and they all had their opposing views on why their religion is right and why they believe it. And if you throw gratitude on the table and say, what do you guys think of this? They will all nod their heads and say, yes, you are right. So that's the best place to start to build a conversation on. We've got the framework now. We've got the base of the house. The concrete is there. How do we get people talking again? So if you're in a situation where you've got opposing views in family members, or if you're in a situation where you've got this this part of you that doesn't quite know how to make the next right step, try to find common ground with who you're with.
We've talked a lot about manifestation on the individual level. I am also very, very interested in collective manifestation with keepers of the light, people who spread light, who spread love, who spread health. How can we, even if we don't know each other, or we're not geographically close, how would it work to collectively manifest peace on earth, respect for difference and tolerance of people who are different than us and have different beliefs and ways of living?
It's man, the answer to this is such a dagger in the chest for me, because I'm actually working against myself on this one. But we got to see it. We got to see it better. When I look at the current state of the world, I feel bad about it. Like, man, I wish I was contributing more. I got this great information that I want the world to know and change their lives and collectively manifest, da, 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 da. And me right there, that's a feeling of lack, that the world is great. And so I'm manifesting more of these problems in the world by even thinking it, let alone saying it out loud.
Even if you're not perpetrating those things.
It just takes a thought with an emotion. Okay. Every thought you have, 60 to 70,000 thoughts on average per day per person, gets sent out, like I said. And each one is accompanied with a special level of energy, whether it be good or bad, high or low. And once you send out that thought, like you could have, let's say you having the intention on saving the world. One of my friends I do a podcast with, his intentions are saving the world, which is great, but his podcast is pure negativity all day, every day. What's wrong with politics? What's wrong with the cops? What's wrong with white people? What's wrong with black people? What's wrong with everybody? What's wrong with everything? He's got like a bunch of shows, and everything is all, but his intentions are good, to enlighten people so they can avoid these things. But daggone it, when you watch one of them shows, you come out feeling like you hate the world. Like, yo, we need to step it up. And so, yeah, I mean, intentions are cool and everything like that, but you got to watch where you can have great intentions and still screw things up. I want to hit collective energy wise. I want to leave you with this. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and I've been to their training camps. They don't drop passes at training camp. They are perfect. They look amazing in practice. But when they get in the game, now all of a sudden they're dropping everything. And that year we had Nelson Aguilar. He was dropping everything, but he didn't drop anything in practice. That's collective energy. The entire country, everyone who knows or ever heard of the Eagles, expects them to do great, but screw up in the end. And that's what we do. We do great. And right in the end, we drop just enough passes to lose the game by 1 second. That's collective energy. That's collective manifesting in a negative light. And that's everybody's expectations. Some people don't even care about the Eagles. Some people don't even care about football, but in the back of their mind, they heard a long time ago that the Eagles choke at the end. And so every time they think of football or every time they think of the Eagles, they're watering that seed. So you got to be careful. You can't be blasting your bad news on Facebook, because every time these people think of you, they're thinking negativity, and they're giving you that. They're manifesting a negative future for you, basically, because you set it up that way. You gave them something to manifest about you. So don't blast your negative energy on Facebook. You don't want people to know about your personal BS anyway. So for those two reasons, just don't do that.
I love that you're trying to bring awareness that there are so many layers, and that's what I mean. We are multi-layered, multifaceted.
Yes, we're
We are
dynamic creatures.
such amazing creatures. We can rebound from so much pain. This is what I really, I see it in my own character. I have such perseverance, even when my parents sometimes said, stop. And I went, no, I'll keep going like an Energizer bunny.
Right.
Because, and all the non-Americans have no idea what that means, but that's okay, it's a battery. I'm just thinking about that all of a
Maybe
sudden.
we'll have a rabbit run across the screen.
And you have this same thing. There is everything that health entails has so many spokes, so many beautiful spokes. And I feel kindness is the same. And I think that is where we connected like instantly. Because
Well, you had me at hello, and I meant that. I really meant that.
that's the smile. You have the same. So that's basically what I do. I am the founder. I am a speaker, an author too of 3 books, 4 pretty soon. But I somehow got the title along the way as a kindness expert. And sometimes it gets me in hot water because people think that if you have that title, that means you can't say no.
Oh.
And that is not true. I want to be very clear.
Yes.
Being kind to self also means that I have learned in my life to say, no, I can't. Because if I say yes to you right now, I'm so tired. My health will be really a problem.
Yes.
Because I will come on my last little leg. So that is something I'm sure that you can attest to.
Absolutely.
Totally.
And let me add that kindness is not equal to weakness. A lot of people mistake kindness for weakness and try to manipulate and deceive and abuse other people who are kind. So I think just my impression of Gabriella in our conversations is kindness is incredible strength.
Absolutely.
It is the strength to do, to not do, to say yes, and to say no.
This is why I called it Dare to Be Kind.
Yeah.
In case you listen to the segments and you say, well, I still don't believe that kindness has anything to do with being a healthy, balanced individual, then there's only one thing I can say to you. If you don't believe me, then go look it up on Google. The brain changes for altruism, nice, kindness acts. All 3 acts, and it's all been tested. The entire brain lights up. And I always jokingly say, when I have committed a nice, kind act, and you know how you turn away and something makes you turn around? I see the person that I helped, the shoulders are straighter, the head is up, there's just a bounce in their step. And then I always say, I feel the same bounce actually.
Yes.
I feel the same, there's just something, and I feel that I've grown 1 inch, and someone that's 4'11" needs that, okay?
Without
that's healthy.
stilettos.
Yes.
Yes. It is very connected. It is very connected, because when you are kind and you're genuinely giving to someone else, it comes back immediately.
But my message is whether it comes back or not is not important.
Well, no, I don't mean the expectation that you'll
okay.
get something in return, but just like you
But
mentioned,
the feeling.
yes,
Yeah,
your
it's 2
your
people.
emotional response to being kind to someone else
The brain
is very
fires.
beneficial.
Yeah.
It's incredibly beneficial.
So can you imagine if you did 5 a day? Oh my God, your day would be terrific,
Yes.
even if you had a crummy job.
yes.
The thing is,
When people say I'm colorblind, I am perfect eyesight with my glasses. I see very clearly that there are two beautiful Black women in front of me. Your skin is darker than mine, but I do like go out in the sun. I get a little color, you know? But I'm just saying, don't say you're colorblind, because you're not. And do realize that you probably were raised with some biases and things. Now be open about, hey, I don't understand this. I don't feel the way you feel. Does that make me a bad person? No, because you're not exposed, you're not experienced in those situations. But I want to be open-hearted to understand what you're going through. And then the second part to that is, how can I help you?
So in reading your profile and the name of your gallery, please tell us what Ubuntu is.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I can never tell people what Ubuntu is without sharing a little story. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share a brief anecdote. So Ubuntu, let me just start with the anecdote. So about, I don't know, now we're talking about 10 years ago, I was on social media and I ran across a story, could have been a parable, but a story nonetheless, of an anthropologist who was studying a tribe in Africa. And when he was waiting for his transportation to bring him home, he was hanging out with some kids of the village. And to pass the time, he's like, all right, guys, let's play a little game here. And he had some candy that he had bought in the city, and he put it by this tree. And he said, all right, guys, here's what you're going to do. You're going to line up, and when I count to 3, you're all going to race to the tree. And whoever gets there first gets the candy. So all the kids are like, yay! You know, they go to the tree and they line up. And he's like, 1, 2, 3. And on 3, they all linked arms and they all ran together. I can't believe I still get emotional when I tell this story. They all ran together. So the anthropologist, dumbfounded, he runs over to the tree and he says to one of the girls, why would you do that? Why would you, well, essentially, why would you share? And the girl looks at him and she says, Ubuntu. I am because we are. I can't be happy unless we're all happy. And when I understood in that moment the magnitude of that statement and how it affects us all on a grander scale, it changed everything for me. And my children were young at the time, like they were like right out of the wrapper, you know, they were like 1 and 2 or something, and everything became Ubuntu. It became such a part of their vernacular that they didn't even know that it wasn't a general word. And when I started painting, I called it Ubuntu Art by Dana, and when I opened the gallery, it was the only thing that made sense.
Okay, that is a beautiful story. And it's just amazing how kids are so connected. They understand the bigger picture, and you know, as we grow up, we lose that, and it's really unfortunate that we do. So I love that. I did read I had to Google it. I'll admit I had to Google the word, and it says it's about being an authentic individual to better humanity. Along those lines. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And this unity consciousness, to be an authentic individual, then you're able to reach out to, you know, thy neighbors, so to speak, because you're living in your own authenticity. There's no fear driving it. So we create a community based on that.
And I can't stand politics. I'm not Democratic or Republican. You know, God is my president. And so I have a degree in political science. And so I can't stand politics and the hatred and the fear mongering and the divisiveness and all of that. So you could say that, you could say it's 5G technology. You could say it's China and it's apocalypse. And you could say it's all of these things. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of truth in all of those things. Maybe it's depopulation. Maybe it's the pharmaceuticals now evolving to be more of a vaccination type companies instead of the toxic pill type companies that have been in the past. I'm sure all of it is true. But the point of it is, my grandmother taught me a prayer when I was a young man, and that was the serenity prayer. And that is, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I firmly believe in our modern society of chaos that we live in this world, there's only two energies. And the energies of this planet are that of love, by love, for love, of God's love. And there's all that which is not love. And so my advice to people is to, instead of choosing fear and anxiety and panic and drama and resistance and big government, choose love.
Choose
And
love.
when you choose love and know that God's in charge, and know that, I think it was Eckhart Tolle says that the past does not exist, the future does not exist, only the present moment exists, followed by one additional moment after another. And in this very moment, both Glen, Alex, and Patrick Snow, and everybody listening to this podcast right now today, we are perfect, we're healthy, we're wonderful. So that was the Reverend Dick Gregory who said this, that fear and God cannot occupy the same space.
The same space.
So choose love, choose faith over fear, and we'll all get through this.
Thank you again for tuning into this episode of The Glen Alex Show. I really, really hope that you are now committed to doing your part to create a healthy humanity. So please like, subscribe, and share this episode.
Refresh your spirit with a nourishing thought.
Please allow me to leave you with this nourishing thought. Jimmy Carter said, "The bond of our common humanity is stronger than the divisiveness of our fears and prejudices." And the Dalai Lama said, "Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive." This nourishing thought will be short and sweet because I have made this plea many, many times, as have others. Because of my concern about what's going on in the world and in the United States in particular, I need to be clear with you. There is no group of people safe from fascism and authoritarianism. Simply review history, the history that's trying to be erased. The oppression starts with one demonized segment of society, then another, and eventually the oppression will soon touch those who supported it in the first place, those who thought they were untouchable because they somehow aligned with the oppressor, with the fascist. In fact, some of them have already lost their livelihood. Like it or not, we are in this together, and each one of us can choose to conform, to comply, to stay quiet, or to do the right thing. What's your choice? To learn more about the impact of your choices and health, please visit glenalex.com. Order your signed copy of my award-winning book, Living in Total Health. Order the Amazon bestseller, Wellness Through Words, which contains my chapter, Living Well with Boundaries. And book your complimentary consultation with me to address your fears. Then, tune in to the next episode of The Glen Alex Show. And until next time, please be well.